Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this surreal reality. You open your banking app and see a beautiful number. 0. Your credit card balance? Gone. Your student loan? Vaporized. That 30-year mortgage you've been paying off for a decade? Eliminated in an instant. Now expand that vision globally. Every person on Earth, freed from every form of debt. No more IOUs, no more monthly payments, no more interest, no more collectors, no more foreclosures. It sounds like a utopian fantasy. A clean slate for humanity, a collective sigh of relief. But the question is, would this miraculous moment of liberation be the start of a new golden age, or the beginning of the great unraveling of civilization itself? What if all debt disappeared overnight? To truly understand what's at stake, we have to first recognize the enormous role debt plays in shaping the modern world. We don't just live with debt, we live inside it. Our cities, economies, and daily routines are suspended within an invisible web of obligations and repayments. Globally, total outstanding debt, including governments, corporations, and households, exceeds $300 trillion. That's more than 3 times the combined value of all the goods and services produced on Earth in a year. Debt isn't just a financial concept. It's the very mechanism that fuels economic expansion, job creation, education, home ownership, and innovation. Without debt, the modern economy, as we know it, would not function. Now, let's walk through the thought experiment. Imagine that at midnight tonight, every single debt in the world was erased. All at once, every ledger wiped clean, every obligation forgotten. No one owes anything to anyone. At first, this might feel like the greatest economic miracle of our time. A complete release from the stress and limitations of debt. Graduates dance in the streets. Homeowners finally own their homes. Citizens feel empowered, in control of their financial lives. But that initial celebration doesn't last long, because just beneath the surface lies the mother of all economic earthquakes. Let's start with the obvious. The banks. Banks will collapse almost immediately. Why? Because the loans they've issued, all those mortgages, credit lines, auto loans, are their assets. If no one owes them anything, they're left holding nothing. And it doesn't stop with the banks. Insurance companies rely on premium income tied to financial risk models. Pension funds and investment firms rely on the predictable income from bonds, which are, by definition, a form of debt. So when debt is erased, entire sectors of the economy become unanchored, unbalanced, and unable to operate. Businesses can't borrow to restock inventory or pay employees. Consumers can't buy homes or cars because banks no longer trust anyone to repay them. Governments lose access to funding because their primary tool, issuing debt, has vanished. Let's look at what happens next, not just to banks or numbers on a screen, but to real people and to the structure of daily life. Without debt, the lifeblood of capitalism, credit, dries up instantly. Credit isn't just convenience, it's how the global economic engine stays lubricated. Without it, commerce slows to a crawl, then a halt. Small businesses that depend on credit to buy supplies, hire workers, or cover short-term costs are suddenly paralyzed. Many shutter within days. Governments, unable to borrow, start slashing spending. They lay off workers, cut services, suspend public projects. Infrastructure begins to decay. Emergency response falters. Even basic services like garbage collection and public transport start to disappear. Schools close their doors. Hospitals run out of funding, police departments lose officers, social safety nets evaporate. And worst of all, trust evaporates. Because credit is based on trust. Trust that you'll repay what you borrow. Trust that someone else's IOU means something. With no debt, there's no history, no reputation, no financial fingerprint. Everyone becomes a stranger again. The world slides back into a cash-only society, but cash itself is scarce. Investments vanish. Currency values fluctuate wildly. Crime rises. Fear spreads. Ancient wisdom, often holds clues for navigating tough times. So let's take a moment to look back and see what lessons history might offer us. Now, before we lose all hope, let's ask an important question. Has anything like this ever happened before? Actually, yes, in the ancient world. In early Mesopotamian civilizations, rulers would periodically declare debt jubilees, massive, state-sanctioned forgiveness of personal debts. The goal? To prevent social unrest, class revolts, or total collapse. It wasn't chaos, it was policy. In the modern era, we've seen echoes of this, from mortgage relief programs to proposals for student loan forgiveness. So the idea of wiping the slate clean isn't new, but doing it globally, instantly, without preparation or transition, that's not reform, that's economic revolution. And revolutions are rarely bloodless. Let's take a step back. Why did humanity construct a financial system so dependent on debt in the first place? Is it laziness? Greed? A design flaw? In reality, debt evolved as a sophisticated tool, a way for people, businesses, and nations to expand their reach through time. Debt is a time machine. It lets us do tomorrow's things today, buy a house now and pay later, fund a college education before you've earned the income, start a business long before you've saved the startup capital. This isn't laziness, it's ambition, multiplied. It's how the middle class was born. It's how countries became empires. It's how technology went from garage prototypes to global revolutions. But like fire or electricity, debt is a powerful force, and honestly, it can be pretty dangerous when misused. The system can be abused, especially by those with power or, access to cheap credit. Some forms of debt, like predatory lending or student loans with no escape, do trap people. And when debt grows faster than real productivity, it creates instability. So debt isn't inherently bad, it's a powerful tool, but when overused or poorly regulated, it becomes a fragile house of cards. But if used wisely, it creates opportunity. So debt isn't inherently bad, it's a powerful tool, but when overused or poorly regulated, it becomes a fragile house of cards. But if used wisely, it creates opportunity. And here's a critical point. Not borrowing in a crisis can actually make the disaster worse. Let's travel back to the early 1930s, the darkest years of the Great Depression. When the economy collapsed, the US government tried to be responsible. They cut spending, they raised taxes, they refused to borrow. The result? Total catastrophe. Unemployment hit 25%, banks failed by the thousands, people starved. It wasn't until the New Deal, massive public spending funded by government borrowing, that the recovery began. And it wasn't until World War II, when the United States borrowed more money than ever in history, that the Depression finally ended. Why? Because when every household and business is afraid to spend, only the government has the power to step in and save the system. It's not about being reckless, it's about survival. Why? Because when every household and business is afraid to spend, only the government has the power to step in and save the system. It's not about being reckless, it's about survival. You don't worry about the water bill when the house is on fire. So what if all debt was erased overnight? You might feel a rush of freedom for a moment, but that moment could be followed by a decade of chaos. Because debt isn't just a burden we carry. It's also the bridge that connects today to tomorrow. And if you break that bridge, you better be ready to build a new world from the ashes. What do you think? Would erasing all debt give us a second chance at a fairer system? Or would it destroy the very foundation of modern life? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. And if you found this video eye-opening, you'll want to watch our next one. What if money suddenly lost all value? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with someone who still thinks debt is just bad math.